Hey guys, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. And today's video, I'm going to get a little bit off topic on style because one of the most common questions I get here at RMRS is, Antonio, why did you join the United States Marine Corps? And would you recommend that a young person today join the Marine Corps or join the military services? Now, I don't know your situation, and I do believe every man has a responsibility to weigh the pros and cons and make a big decision like this on his own. But what I can do is share with you my story, what was going through my mind when I was a teenager, whenever I was 20 years old and signed my name onto the dotted line to join the United States Marine Corps. And by the way, my number one reason for joining is probably not what you expect. What am I talking about? Find out, gents, in today's video. So, what was my number one reason for joining the United States Marine Corps? Yes, there were some great things about serving your country. My father, my brother, my cousins, they had all served in the military. My older brother was a Marine. He had been in the Gulf War. There were some great opportunities to challenge myself, to be able to fly jets. That was the contract I signed. But the real reason I joined the United States Marine Corps is I was tired of being bullied. I was tired of getting pushed around. I was tired of feeling weak. See, growing up, I was super skinny, a small guy, and I remember just in elementary school, running from kids on the playground, I always got bullied on. I got picked on by my friends. I remember I got a nice new Dodger jacket from my dad, and I wore this, and I left it there on my chair whenever I went to go get some more food, and I came back, and my friends had stuffed all this food, mashed potatoes and stuff, right into the pockets. Everyone thought it was funny. So I was just basically the butt of jokes because I didn't fight back. Throughout high school, throughout middle school, I was just pushed around and I didn't like it. I felt weak. I felt helpless, and I wanted to get rid of that feeling. Now, I went to college and it was great because I got to make all new friends. But one thing popped up again and again is I didn't know how to fight. Most of my friends were wrestlers. So whenever these guys would drink a few beers, they loved to wrestle, and I would just get my ass handed to me every single time we did that. And so I realized, you know what? I've got to learn how to defend myself. I've got to learn how to fight. I've got to learn how to hold my own. Otherwise, this is going to go on for the rest of my life. Now, everything I've talked about up to this point has been physical, but mentally, I felt I was weak as well. In fact, I got weaker in college. In high school, I was a voracious reader. I mean, literally, I was just always reading. I was a distance runner, an 800-mile, 2-mile runner. So if anyone's ever ran those events, you know that that is about dealing with pain. But what happened in college is all of a sudden I started making a lot of friends with people that were big socializers, aka we spent a lot of time at the bars, dropped out of track. And what I found is that mentally, I wasn't applying myself. I didn't study really at all in college. I simply got by because I was a relatively smart person, but my GPA suffered at 2.9 when I graduated. And I started realizing, you know what? I am slipping here. Not only, I used to consider myself really strong mentally, but I'm losing that. Physically, I'm no specimen. So gosh, I need to get things turned around. So yeah, I joined the United States Marine Corps because I felt like a weakling. My confidence was shot. In fact, I remember I was 20 years old. I was walking across campus. I just dropped an organic chem class because I was going to fail it. And it's my own fault. I wasn't studying. I wasn't applying myself. I just felt lost. And I see this guy walking across. It was a Marine. It was a staff sergeant. Started talking with this guy, and that confidence, the way that he was dressed, everything hit what I wanted to achieve. And he said, you know what? They got this OCS program. You should look into it. And that's exactly what I did. And all of a sudden, I'm driving out to Des Moines and I'm signing up. I got a flight contract, and what I loved is that the Marine Corps, if anyone knows anything about the services, the Coast Guard, you guys, do your thing, protect the coast. The Air Force, Chair Force, they're flying those nice jets. In the Navy, they go on those nice cruises. The Army, yeah, that's a military organization. The Marine Corps, they're a friggin' religion. They're a bunch of fanatics. I knew that these guys were going to be some of the craziest ones, that they were going to push the envelope. They intentionally seek out pain and suffering. So I'm like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I got this flight contract, which was pretty much, a golden ticket to get me through OCS and everything. And I signed up for the Marine Corps. So you're probably wondering, Antonio, did joining the Marine Corps fix your confidence issues? When you left the Marine Corps, did all of a sudden you no longer feel like a weakling? The quick answer is yes. But the way the Marine Corps transformed me and what it did for me was a bit unexpected, because I thought it was going to be the physical aspect, the physical training that was really going to transform me. Instead, it was something else. And let me be clear, the physical stuff was not easy. Anyone that's ever been on a 25-mile forced march with 70 pounds of gear plus your weapons and ammo, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But the physical stuff was just an aspect of it. To me, it was the values, the core values that we had to live by as Marines and especially Marine Corps officers that transformed me, that gave me confidence. Now, gents, if you agree that the Marines have the best looking uniforms, yeah, do me a favor, smash that like button. So the first core value is honor. And if you talk to most people, most men about honor nowadays, you're going to find that many people feel it's antiquated, that it's out of style, that it's something that is of a bygone era. And that's really too bad because to me, this is your code. A man of honor doesn't lie. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't steal. He holds himself to the highest levels of integrity. Now, I'd be bullshitting you if I were to say that I'm perfect and that I always lived up to those ideals. But here's the thing. When you have a code, you always strive to live up to it. Yes, you're going to fall down. You're going to make mistakes. But when you've got that integrity, when you have that self-respect, you respect others. And you find that you really separate yourself from the crowd when all of a sudden you've got that sense of honor, that code of conduct. Next up, we've got courage. And this one seems obvious, right? Anyone joining the military, you expect them to have physical courage. We've read about it. We've seen it in the movies. And, having seen this in person, it's awe-inspiring. Whenever, there's a guy out there and he's wounded and somebody just selflessly goes out there and is being shot at and pulls them to safety. Amazing. But that's not the only type of courage. And in fact, you rarely ever see anything like that. Maybe once in your career. Most people, what they're talking about here, and I thought what was the most interesting is learning about mental and moral courage. So mental courage, this is you standing up and saying what's right whenever everyone around you is going one direction. The moral courage, whenever no one's looking, you could cut corners on that job. Fixing that helicopter, do whatever it is. And if something were to go wrong, there's probably no way they could trace it back to you. Yet you've got to have that moral courage to do what's right because you know that, hey, it doesn't matter. I know that we're going to have to stay over the weekend to do these repairs properly because it could possibly put somebody's life at risk. That's the moral, that's the mental, and that's the physical courage. And understanding the difference and understanding that all three are necessary if you're going to live up to the ideals of the Marine Corps, and I think a lot of the other services as well, was something that I really took to heart and has had a lasting effect on me. Next up, let's talk about commitment. We didn't really use the word commitment. We just said no fucking excuses. The Marine Corps are a little bit rougher at times, but point being, if you are in charge of something, if you take ownership, if you see there's a problem with something and there's nobody around to fix it, guess what? You are jumping on and taking ownership because there are lives at stake. This applies to a lot of things, I think, in just the world in general. And I see this again and again in companies, in businesses, where people say, that's not my problem. That's not my issue. And I get it. Lives aren't at stake here. But you know what? The life of your company is. The fact that it's on that no one is dealing with this customer service issue and this person is about to ask for a refund. I'm always blown away that more companies don't actually have deeper commitment of their people. They don't have this sense of ownership that you've got to have if you're going to see a project through to completion. To be committed to something is to give your all, is to realize that yes, sometimes you'll be able to get by with just what needs to be done. Other times you've got to commit to putting in more hours, to putting in more time, to giving a bit more to be able to see it through the end. All right, Jen, so really quick, before I get into this next point, I want to share with you a quick story. So I'm at the gun range the other day, and it was the smell of the gunpowder. This took me back to training on the range in the Marine Corps. We just spent a lot of time firing our 9mm, and it just relaxes me being there at the range, focused on, nothing at work, nothing with my family, just me putting steel on target. Now, here's the thing, is that smell is such a powerful, it's one of our most powerful senses, yet most of us don't even think about it because we don't see it. Guys, I'm coming out with a project over at Mission Fragrances, the science of smell to help you become a better man. So what are the fragrances we're coming out with? Honor, courage, commitment, the core values of the United States Marine Corps, and United States Navy. Now, most fragrances sold out there are sold on sex appeal. Nothing wrong with that. I love sex. But there's so much more to life, especially if you're a man with aspirations. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could wear a fragrance that would help you get into the zone and be more focused when you're training for a triathlon? Wouldn't it be awesome if you're dealing with anxiety that you could spray on a fragrance that would help you to overcome that, to give you courage? That's exactly what we're doing at Mission Fragrances. The idea here is that you can condition yourself to feel a certain way with these fragrances. I started doing all this research and just kept finding all this data, all this information about how smell influences how you feel about yourself, how you feel about other people. It affects your mood. It affects just your brain. I mean, all this data is out there. All right, Jen, so if this sounds interesting at all, down in the description of today's video, there's a special link. Use it to go over to Mission Fragrances and enter your email address. When you do this, it's going to make sure that you get the best deal whenever we launch. Seriously, if you don't sign up for this email list, you're going to see me launch this thing, but you are not going to get the best deal. There's also some limited edition gifts we're going to be giving to the guys that initially sign up. I'm also emailing the guys back and forth, asking their advice, getting information so that I can make sure I develop this perfect for you guys out there that want to smell your best, want to leverage the science of scent. Now, this next point is not really a value, but it is a skill, and one that the Marine Corps just is really good at developing, and that is leadership. Now, leadership, as defined by General Lejeune, is the sum of those qualities of intellect, human understanding, and moral character that enable a person to inspire and control a group of people successfully. In a nutshell, leadership is the ability to inspire others to greatness. You look at any of the great leaders out there, Winston Churchill, Martin Luther King, Elon Musk even, a modern-day entrepreneur that's inspiring people to think about colonizing other planets. I mean, seriously, guys, that is leadership, and they're done in different ways. What we learned in the United States Marine Corps was about leading from the front, and the point about this is that people want to be inspired. They want somebody that's going to first put themselves out there and not just tell people what to do. Now, I served in the United States Marine Corps for 5 years, and you may be asking, well, Antonio, if you say all these great things about it, why didn't you stay in? Because it's not for everybody, and I know for me that there were certain things I didn't like. One, I didn't like how I had no control over, you have a little bit of control, but really not much over what you do and where you go. I dropped out of the flight program, blew out my sinuses, so I guess I was, NPQ'd, which is not physically qualified anymore. But they made me an adjutant, and I went to an infantry battalion, which was actually really awesome, but I really wasn't enjoying, I didn't want to be a paper pusher, so I left. Also, I had started dating a girl over in Ukraine who is now my wife. We've been together for 20 years. And I realized looking around, I remember a chief warrant officer I was on a deployment with, he just watched tapes and tapes of his kids. And that was how he pretty much said, oh yeah, I haven't really made it for a birthday. He wasn't there for any of his 4 children being born. And I knew that really the military wasn't conducive to the type of family lifestyle that I wanted to have. That being said, I want to share with you a quick quote from Ronald Reagan. Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they've made a difference. The Marines don't have that problem. Now, seriously, gents, if you enjoyed today's video, let me know down in the comments and leave what is your core value. And guys, we're going to go down there and choose a couple of you guys to send out our challenge coins to. And by the way, anyone that writes me a letter pretty much gets a challenge coin. Yes, the P.O. box is down in the description of our videos. In addition, that link over to Mission Fragrances. But yes, these beautiful challenge coins, I love sending them to you guys to inspire you to become better men. Now, gents, if you enjoyed today's video, I think you're going to like this one as well. How I got fired and lost my job. I talk about, yes, one of the most depressing times in my life, what it did to me, and how it actually was a great thing and led to, well, I'm not going to ruin the video for you. Go find out the story right here, this video. I will link to it down in the description.